Hello, welcome to Radio Bravery Live. I'm your host, Justin Belshaw. This is a cover of Killing in the Name from Rage Against the Machine by Rockin' Toys Sessions. This is some guys with some toy instruments. That was pretty cool. This is Radio Bravery Live. I'm your host, Justin Belshaw. The websites are youtube.com/radiobravery, facebook.com/radiobravery, and the beta site is radiobravery.wixsite.com/news. Thank you so much for joining me. We've got a lot of news to cover today, so let's go ahead and jump into it. This is from yahoonews.com. North Korea warns of nuclear test at any time, quote. North Korea has carried out 5 nuclear tests in the last 11 years and is widely believed to be making progress towards its dream of building a missile capable of delivering a warhead to the continental United States. This is an article out of Seoul, South Korea. North Korea warned Monday that it will carry out a nuclear test at any time, at any location, set by its leadership in the latest rhetoric to fuel jitters in the region. So this is just more tensions escalating between the U.S., South Korea, North Korea, Russia, Syria. I mean, it is just non-stop rhetoric. So we will just continue to cover every little headline as they slowly just trickle out every single day. Donald Trump also just came out and said that he's willing to meet with Kim Jong-un. He'd be happy to meet with the dictator loser. But yeah, doesn't look like North Korea is too stoked on having anybody coming from the U.S. there, as these parents of a U.S. citizen detained in North Korea are still pleading for their son's release. But yeah, let's move forward to another article from South Korean Yahoo News. THAAD missile defense system, which I already covered earlier on Radio Bravery Live, initially capable in South Korea, sources say now. The U.S. military's THAAD missile defense system in South Korea has reached an initial operating capability to defend against North Korean missiles, U.S. officials said on Monday, forging ahead with the system despite staunch objections from China. Beijing has opposed activation of the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, arguing that the system's radar could be used to spy into its territory despite assurances from Washington that THAAD is purely defensive. The United States is looking for China to use its influence in Pyongyang to rein in its advancing nuclear missile programs, and it is unclear how Beijing will react to the development. But U.S. President Donald Trump has said a major conflict with North Korea is possible, and THAAD's activation adds another layer of complexity to escalating tensions. So continue to watch that as it develops. But yeah, luckily THAAD is in place and we are able to stop those missiles if they were to be launched. But let's move forward here from another article from Infowars.com. Dan Lehman writes, French election week, Le Pen closing gap with Macron in many polls. Momentum now belongs to Le Pen in the final days of the campaign. The final round of a monumental French presidential election will take place on May 7th. The nationalist candidate, Marine Le Pen, is quickly gaining ground on her globalist opponent, Emmanuel Macron, in a variety of polls. Polling by Harris Interactive reveals that Le Pen has picked up 6 points in the last week since first-round voting, with major media outlets declaring that Macron is plummeting with just 6 days before the runoff. Ha! Isn't that just wonderful to hear? I'd like to see that little French weasel just eat dirt. And I'd love to see a real independent woman take power for the French people. Marine Le Pen is closing the gap with gaining 6 points. And again, like I've already said, going into this election, I think it's going to be a lot like the Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton election, in the sense that there were a lot of silent Trump voters who didn't and who refused out of fear and out of criticism to tell people who they were going to vote for, to say that they were going to vote for Trump. And that's why Trump got 53% of the woman vote here in America. And I think that it's looking like a lot of these Le Pen voters are going to show up in the end. So there's a poll right now going out saying, do you think Marine Le Pen or Emmanuel Macron will win the French election? This is from the Express News. And it says 47% says Le Pen and 53% says Macron. So you can see that that gap is definitely getting smaller. The Daily Express, that survey was surveying 122,000 respondents. So that's a pretty good show of what the outcome might be. So even if Le Pen doesn't win, it is just showing you how much the French people want change and how much they are against globalism. Polling by the London Telegraph shows that Macron has slipped every day for the past week, dropping from a high 63% the night before the first round to below 60% for the first time in April. Other polls indicate a swing in Le Pen's favor as well, including one released by eLab last week, in which half of the respondents said Le Pen's second-round campaign was off to a good start compared to 43% for Macron. But yeah, Paul Joseph Watson writes today on May 1st here, Le Pen is trending up. Can she pull it off? Also of note, French physicist Serge Galam, who has established a reputation for accurate predictions, including those of Brexit and Donald Trump, believes the Front National candidate has a chance to win due to his analysis of an often overlooked factor he calls differentiated abstention. With less than 50% of voting intentions, Marine Le Pen can end up with more than 50% of the votes cast, he said. Le Pen and Macron are vigorously campaigning on May Day, a national holiday in France, with Macron maneuvering to perpetuate the false narrative that Le Pen and her supporters are far-right extremists by holding a tribute to Macron to a Moroccan man who died at a May Day rally 22 years ago after being thrown into the Seine River by skinheads who were supposedly linked to the fringes of the Front National Party at the time. Oh man, just semantics and little games and racism. That's the only thing they can say. So yeah, that's really, really interesting to see that Le Pen's closing the gap there. That's enough on French election news. Let's jump into this one. Trump weighs breaking up Wall Street banks, raising gas tax. This is a Bloomberg Politics article from Bloomberg.com. President says in an interview he's examining revival of a 1933 law. Top administration officials back return of Glass-Steagall Act. Thank God, because yes, Glass-Steagall was put in place for a very, very serious reason. President Donald Trump says he's actively considering a breakup of giant Wall Street banks, giving a push to efforts to revive a Depression-era law separating consumer and investment banking. Yes, Glass-Steagall was the separation of consumer and investment banking, which, oh man, I can't even divulge to you how much that means to banking. I'm looking at that right now. Trump said of breaking up banks in a 30-minute Oval Office interview with Bloomberg News. There's some people that want to go back to the old system, right? So we're going to look at that. Trump also said that he's open to increasing the U.S. gas tax to fund infrastructure development, in a further sign that policies unpopular with Republican establishment are under consideration. He described higher gas taxes as acceptable to truckers. I have one friend who's a big trucker. He said, as long as the proceeds are dedicated to improving the U.S. highways. So Glass-Steagall, during the presidential campaign, Trump called for a 21st century version of the 1933 Glass-Steagall law that required the separation of consumer and investment banking. The 2016 Republican Party platform also backed restoring the legal barrier, which was repealed in 1999 under a financial deregulation signed by then President and traitor Bill Clinton. A handful of lawmakers blame the repeal for contributing to the 2008 financial crisis. Really, an argument that Wall Street flatly rejects. Of course, it couldn't have been us. Couldn't have been Glass-Steagall that was separating the two, and no, it couldn't have been that. Trump couldn't unilaterally restore the law. Congress would have to pass a new version. Trump officials, including Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin and National Economic Council Director globalist Gary Cohn, have offered support to bringing back some version of Glass-Steagall, though they've offered scant details on an updated approach. Both Mnuchin and Cohn are former bankers who worked for Goldman Sachs. Wall Street has repeatedly shrugged off politicians' calls for bank breakups in recent years. So this is a really good sign. I would love to see a new version of Glass-Steagall put back in place because we need a separation of consumer and investment banking. Absolutely. That's detrimental to our financial crisis problem, and it is probably the leading reason why the 2008 banking crisis happened, in my opinion. But let's move forward, get out of the U.S. news, and let's jump to the very special day that it is, the Jacobin holiday of May Day, the communist holiday, the Jacobin background holiday, yes. So let's just go into the main point here. So if you go to Google and you search May Day history, you will find a whitewash of fake news from the fake news producer, Google, from Eric Schmidt, who just decided that they're just going to take it off the page. They're going to take the real news just off the page. Yeah, they're not censoring. They're just going to take it off the page. Yeah, so May Day history, when you Google it, this is the little whitewash they give you. May Day is a public holiday usually celebrated on May 1st. It is an ancient Northern Hemisphere spring festival. It is also a traditional spring holiday in many cultures. International Workers' Day may also be referred to as May Day, but it is different from the celebration of traditional May Day. Oh, is it? Really? Because you didn't tell us the differential. You didn't give an example of the difference or anything like that. They just say, International Workers' Day, spring holiday, May Day. Oh, it's also different than traditional May Day. Well, you might ask, what's traditional fucking May Day? Because they don't want to fucking give you the real news? Yeah, they want to censor your brain so that you can't think for your damn self. They want all the lemmings out there in the streets celebrating the communist Jacobin holiday of May Day, which actually comes from anarchists causing anarchy in the streets after a bombing happened. I believe it's called the Haystack bombing or something like that. Haymarket affair. So yeah, let's go into the real history, because here on Radio Bravery Live, we like to cover truth, history, historical facts, background, research, developments, actual evidence. So that's what we're going to provide you with right here. If you go to my Instagram.com @RadioBravery, you'll find a nice little comparison of fake news and real news, and just a little thing there on what May Day is. May Day is a public holiday usually celebrated on May 1st. Blah, 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 ancient spring festival, yeah. Dances, singing, cake are usually part of the celebrations. Oh, what? No way, that sounds so cute. Well, in the late 19th century, May Day was chosen as a date for International Workers' Day to commemorate the Haymarket affair in Chicago. International Workers' Day may also be referred to as May Day. Yeah, so International Workers' Day, and Haymarket Affair. Totally two separate things, folks. So when people tell you, "Oh yeah, it's International Workers' Day," that's what it stands for. That's absolutely untrue, and you're a total lemming if that's what you think. Maybe a lot of people are celebrating International Worker Day today, but that's not what May Day came from. Okay, let's look at. Let's see here. Yeah. May Day, if we go into it right here, let me see if I can find the, oh, yes. You gotta really dive back in here. Excuse me just one moment. Well, let's just, this is teleprompter free here, folks, so. Apparently I just didn't have the right one. Okay, well, anyhow, we'll just go into the brief definition here. The earliest May Day celebrations appeared with the Florida Festival of Florida, the Roman goddess of flowers, held on April 27th during the Roman Republic era. So this has nothing... So, May 1st was the first day of summer, since hence summer solstice. As Europe became Christianized, the pagan holidays lost their religious character, and May Day changed into a popular secular celebration. A significant celebration of May Day occurs in Germany, where it is one of several days on which Saint Walburga, credited to bringing Christianity to Germany, is celebrated. Since the 18th century, See, it's just all whitewashed. If you can find, they only have like the littlest tiny things in here. Like in the late 20th century, many neo-pagans began reconstructing traditions and celebrating May Day as a pagan religious festival. But actually, May Day comes from the Jacobins. Here we go. So, International Workers' Day and May Day came from the Jacobins actually trying to create a 9-hour work week instead of an 8-hour work week. And beginning in the late 19th century, so this is, again, it's all, they can't even go even deeper than the 19th century, the 18th century, when you look at the history of this. Beginning in the late 19th century, as the trade union and labor movements grew, the variety of days were chosen by trade unionists as a day to celebrate labor. In the United States and Canada, a September holiday called Labor Day was first proposed in the 1880s. In 1882, Matthew McGuire, a machinist, first proposed the Labor Day holiday. Blah 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 da 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 da. May 1st was chosen to be International Workers' Day to commemorate the 1886 Haymarket Affair in Chicago. In that year, beginning on May 1st, there was a general strike for the 8-hour workday. On May 1st, the police acted to disperse a public assembly in support of the strike when an unidentified person threw a bomb. The police responded by firing on the workers, killing 4 demonstrators. Labor leaders and sympathizers were later rounded up, and 4 were executed by hanging. The following day, on May 5th, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the state militia fired on a crowd of strikers, killing 7, including a schoolboy and a man feeding chickens in his yard. In 1889, a meeting in Paris was held by the First Congress and Second International, following the proposal by Raymond Levine that called for international demonstrations on the 1890 anniversary of the Chicago protests. May Day was formally recognized as an annual event at the International's Second Congress in 1891. Subsequently, the May Day riots of 1894 occurred. The International Socialist Congress, Amsterdam, 1904, called on all social democratic party organizations and trade unions of all countries to demonstrate energetically on the 1st of May for the legal establishment of an 8-hour day, for the class demands of the proletariat and the universal peace. The Congress made it mandatory upon the proletarian organizations of all countries to stop work on May 1st wherever it is possible without injury to the workers. May Day had become the focal point for demonstrations by various socialist, communist, and anarchist groups since the Second International. May Day is one of the most important holidays in communist countries such as the People's Republic of China, North Korea, Cuba, and former Soviet Union. May Day celebrations in these countries typically feature elaborate workforce parades, including displays of military hardware and soldiers. In 1955, the Catholic Church dedicated 1st May to Saint Joseph the Worker. Saint Joseph is the patron saint of workers. During the Cold War, May Day became the occasion for large military parades in Red Square by the Soviet Union, attended by top leaders of the Kremlin, especially in Politburo and Lenin's mausoleum. It became an enduring symbol in that period. So if you didn't understand all the breakdowns that I was just giving you, all the people who were celebrating May Day and May 1st were people like Mao Zedong, Lenin, Stalin, communist dictators. These are the people who run this, and you know what the people are doing out in the street. So it's taken me a while to finally get to this point. Thank you for being patient with me here on Radio Bravery Live. It's taken me a little bit of on-air researching because I do this all live. I don't really have too much time to get fully into my research about all this, but it's taken me a little bit to get to this analogy, but you see that all these people who started this holiday, this communist socialist holiday, the people who celebrate it were Mao Zedong, Lenin, Stalin. These are the people that were just named in here. The main countries that celebrate May Day, that used to celebrate May Day, where it came from in the main celebratory holiday. The reason why it was pushed was by socialist, communist, and anarchist groups. The Soviet Union, Cuba, North Korea, and the Republic of China, okay? These are the groups that push May Day. May Day is a communist, socialist holiday created by the Jacobins way back when, way before it was even a holiday. It was a celebration of, a pagan holiday. But anyway, point being, the people who celebrate this May Day are the people who shut down freedom, who shut down free speech, who shut down your rights, and they want to control you. And so you see now, during these protests, there are numerous pictures of people. There's a gentleman who is holding a picture of Joseph Stalin walking around at the protests of May Day, pro-Joseph Stalin, holding a painting of Joseph Stalin. This is just incredible. But look at this one right here. This is a Paul Joseph Watson article from Infowars.com. Leftist t-shirt at May Day rally shows ISIS beheading Donald Trump. This is a t-shirt that you can't really see for you're listening right now, but the t-shirt has a picture of a person wearing a ski mask, and it looks like a woman wearing a ski mask cutting off Donald Trump's head. Looks like it might have some Arabic or something like that. It says, "Behead the bro, decapitate the Don." And this these people think it's cool to wear a t-shirt of an ISIS terrorist cutting the head off of your president. I just don't know where to go with that. Do you understand what would happen if your president's head was cut off by ISIS? It would probably be your head or your dick next. So wake up, buddy. This is ISIS is not on your side, you total dumbass lemming. ISIS hates you. ISIS thinks you're pathetic. This is a white, privileged person with money who just crawled out of their mama's basement with their diaper on, and they want to go and have our president beheaded by a terrorist group. You are such a fucking idiot. I just cannot. I wouldn't want that to happen to Barack Obama. I wouldn't want that to happen to Hillary Clinton. I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody. I want justice. I want laws. I want criminals to be tried, and I want justice, okay? I don't want Sharia law. I don't want anarchy, okay? You fools are going to be the one to fall when anarchy comes. So yeah, leftist t-shirt at May Day rally depicts ISIS beheading Donald Trump. That's just great. Let's see here. Chaos in Paris as annual May Day march turns into mass riot in protest against Marine Le Pen. More than 9,000 police have been drafted in for the march, which descended into carnage as officers were forced to use tear gas and baton charges to control the violence. Protesters are throwing fireballs at police. Police are being attacked in France by the pro-May Day, pro-socialism, communist, anarchist pieces of trash. So it's just so pathetic. Bunch of lemmings out there have no thought in their mind of their own. They just listen to the echo chamber. Okay, yeah, I totally agree, and feel empowered and just go out and be violent against innocent people. That is not what helps anything. And that brings us to this statesman.com. 1 student dead, 3 injured in UT stabbing attack. Suspect also a student. This is during a May Day communist holiday parade. The Fuck Trump parade, here at University of Texas campus, student stabbed another student and stabbed 3 other students in a mass stabbing attack here in University of Texas. Looks like must be a bunch of pro-peaceful communist Antifa, not so Antifa now, are you, dumbasses? So stabbings are going on for May Day. That's how you promote peace and freedom here in America. Stab people to get it. Police addressed multiple stabbings on University of Texas campus. This is all during the communist socialist Jacobin holiday of May Day. Here's another one. Live May Day protest at Austin, Texas Capitol building. Protesters have gathered, and there's numerous videos on Infowars.com. You can check that out and check out the arrest. They're still looking for the suspect, I believe, or something during that. Very, very troubling, but we better ban knives now, huh? Better ban knives because people can use those as weapons. Don't give anybody else the way to defend themselves. No way. That's just more trouble in paradise for the not-so-Antifa. Let's see. I thought I had... Oh, here we go. This is one more article about May Day that I was going to cover from worldnetdaily.com. This one is entitled Mayday and Biggest Liars in Human History. And this is the one where you can find the pictures of the people, scores of workers carrying flags with the communist hammer and sickle. This is Lee. There's a video of Lee Edwards talking about Lee Edwards on May Day and the communists as biggest liars in human history. Pretty interesting. Then there's that picture I was telling you about the man in the Ukraine wearing a CCCP shirt or sweatshirt, Soviet Russia shirt, and then holding a painting of Joseph Stalin like it's his daddy. He just loves, oh, Joseph Stalin. Oh, sir, take away my rights, please. Take them all away. I don't want to think for myself at all. Please take it away. Joseph Stalin, I've got a painting of him. Yes, freedom, my leader. This is just pathetic. What are you, brainwashed Stockholm Syndrome, pathetic Lemming? Get your head out of the sand. It's disgusting. Oh, it makes me sick to my stomach to see these lemmings just brainwashed. Now I've got 2 more articles that I want to cover, and then I'm going to play the audio of Paul Joseph Watson's newest video, because he is back in the UK, and we've been waiting for Paul Joseph Watson's wonderful trending videos. I just love his quick little rants, and he's got a new one out finally, which is really great. We're going to play it at the end of the show here on Radio Bravery Live. The video is entitled The OK Hand Sign is Racist. But first, let's go into this one. A little bit of technology news. The robotic brain surgeon will see you now. Drill can perform complex procedures 50 times faster. This is out of the London Telegraph. Scientists have revealed a robotic drill that can cut the most sensitive brain surgery down from 2 hours to 2.5 minutes. The machine, developed at the University of Utah, is being hailed as a potential breakthrough in survival for brain patients, as the reduced time they spend in surgery will drastically cut the chances of infection. So this is really great for technology news, but also very scary, so we need to always keep a critical eye on technology. So that's a really interesting story there. And then lastly, I really wanted to cover this story that brought tears to my eyes. It's a really, really heart-wrenching story. Video from worldnetdaily.com. I'm not going to play the video because the audio is just not worth it. It's not too great of audio. But I just wanted to show you, I just want everyone to go and see this video. It brought me to tears. Texans cry out to God in miraculous rescue of 2 babies. Quote, "Give them breath, Lord," woman prays as Good Samaritans surround a submerged truck. And I watched this entire video as I was brought to tears near Myrtle Springs, Texas, as black and white people together surround a submerged truck underwater and fight nonstop for minutes, as it looks like they might have no chance. They refuse to stop, and they pry out both sides of the doors as this truck is flipped over underwater, and these people are just desperately trying to save these babies. And it just brought me to such positive tears, and it was just so enlightening to see that there's such good people out there who just, when the time comes down to it, they will fight, they will cry, they will do anything it takes to save another life. And it really, really makes me feel great to see people out there like that. And I really urge you to go check out that video yourself at WND.com, WorldNet Daily. Texans cry out to God in miraculous rescue of 2 babies. Just a beautiful story of humanity. It really is. That's what Radio Bravery is all about here, trying to spread positivity and the pursuit of happiness and truth in journalism. So thank you so much for joining me here on Radio Bravery Live. I really appreciate it. The websites are youtube.com/Radio Bravery, facebook.com/Radio Bravery, and of course the Wix site is radiobravery.wixsite.com/news, and check out my Instagram at RadioBravery, Twitter at RadioBravery, and WordPress.radiobravery.com. So thank you so much. I'm gonna end this episode of Radio Bravery Live, like I said, with this video from Paul Joseph Watson depicting how the OK sign is racist. So yeah, go ahead and check that out, because that's bullshit, and the OK sign is not racist. But seems to be that they want to shut down speech everywhere. So yeah, they are trying to say that this is racist, which it's not. So thank you so much for joining me on Radio Bravery Live. I'm your host, Justin Belshaw, and I will see you next time. Thank you.
Doing the OK hand sign now means you're a neo-Nazi. That's according to The Independent, who published an entire article defaming Mike Cernovich and Cassandra Fairbanks as white supremacists. The same Independent that simultaneously writes hit pieces about me while begging for an interview. The article was based on a tweet by Fusion reporter Amanda Roller, which said,
"Just two people doing a white power hand gesture in the White House."
The Independent said,
"The Anti-Defamation League characterises the symbol as a racist hand sign."
And that's fake news. The ADL never said doing the OK symbol was a quote racist hand sign. They were talking about a completely different hand sign using two hands, where one hand forms the letter W and the other hand forms the letter P to represent WP or white power. And the Independent is so stupid, they literally debunk themselves in their own article by pointing this out. I don't know which is more retarded. Calling Cernovich a white supremacist when he has a Persian wife and a mixed race baby? Pretty shit white supremacist. Calling Cassandra Fairbanks a white supremacist when she's Puerto Rican? Or completely falling for a 4chan troll that set out to fool verified libtards on Twitter into thinking the OK sign had been co-opted by neo-Nazis. That's literally what 4chan said, and they fell for it. The fact that I even have to explain this to you fucking morons makes me want to kill myself. Trump does the OK sign when he's making a point.
Hand gesture with an L shape. So it's right here. It looks precise. Right now. Not wishy-washy. He's got this nailed.
Just like other politicians do this thumb to fist thing when they're making a point. Trump does it to make a point, not to signal white supremacy. Cernovich, Fairbanks, and everyone else do it because they're Trump supporters, not because they're white supremacists, you fucking idiots. It's called a fucking meme. Here's noted white supremacist Barack Obama doing the OK sign. This black Trump supporter does it too. Must be a white supremacist. This 10-year-old kid's definitely a white supremacist. Here's another white supremacist. Not all people who have a different opinion to you are white supremacists. Have you grasped that yet? Unfortunately for libtards, constantly smearing people as neo-Nazis because they're too thick to come up with an actual counter-argument is no longer an option. Fairbanks says she's suing The Independent and possibly the moron who first defamed her as a white supremacist in the tweet.
We are suing The Independent.
Independent out of
and
the
probably
UK.
the journalist as well.
You're going after
She's a little bit
for slandering you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And possibly the woman from Fusion, and maybe even Fusion.
Great.
For starting.
Yeah.
Listen, OK signs aren't racist. Milk isn't racist. Cartoon fucking frogs aren't racist. Not looking someone in the eye isn't racist. By trivializing racism to such a ludicrous degree, you make actual racists and white supremacists look reasonable in comparison to your hysterical idiocy. You utter cretins.